Regulate. Shh. Perfect. Regulate. Regulate. Heard they talking spicy, time to regulate. Heard they talking about me, I'ma regulate. They don't really want to see me regulate.
Welcome to the American Page Podcast. Guys, thanks for joining on. This episode is just me because this episode here, I'm going to talk to a particular group of people. Okay, I want to talk to the men. And the reason I want to talk to the men is because there's a crisis currently going on right now. Okay. And that's that there's many fathers who are absent from the home at the moment. Maybe divorced, maybe you just had a link up and it didn't work out, but there's now a child involved, and a whole variety of other stuff. Okay. And the reason I want to speak to you guys is because I want to propose. I want to start changing minds. I want to start tugging at people's minds so them to understand that right now we have to make a change in this country. So I don't know how far this video is going to go because we're a small little podcast at the moment. But I hope it reaches people. And the reason why is because as men, the more we step up, the better the world is going to do. The better the country is going to do. Because right now, this country is in what feels like turmoil. Okay? So here's the issue. I have two kids, twins, boy and a girl. Okay? They're 2 years old. Love them to death. I mean, I cannot see my life without them. I'm married to Puerto Rican, so you know how that goes. And it's all good times, but in all honesty, like being in marriage, having kids, there are things you start noticing. There's things that you see. There are things that you know that are essential that many homes don't have. Now, I want to just put a disclaimer out. I'm still learning. I'm a work in progress. There's still many things. I'm rough around the edges in so many ways. However, I am learning how to become better. I'm learning how to adapt. I'm learning how to lead more efficiently because at the end of the day, it falls on us. Okay? I'm a hot-tempered guy. You know what I'm saying? So, and amongst a variety of other things. So please, as I speak this, don't take this as me speaking as I'm perfect or any other stuff or the best dad in the world. So I don't think I am. I think I'm a work in progress, and my goal is to be the most effective leader I can be in my family's household. Okay? Now, here's the thing. We need to change something. Okay? The United States of America right now, according to Statista.com, which I'm going to share the page with you right now. Okay, we're leading right now as 23%, as you can see here on the chart, this area here. Okay, this is the percent of children younger than 18 living in single-parent households. Okay, now this is based on 2018. I am sure that the number is probably higher now, and I would love to see what the numbers are now, right? But still, this is a very alarming thing. The fact that even if it's just 2018, that we're so high up there, it's a red flag. Why? Because when it comes to single parent home, there's always problems that come with that. I came from a single parent home, and I'll tell you, when my father wasn't in the picture for a few years, I spiraled into a lot of things that I shouldn't have spiraled into, or I didn't have that male figure who was able to direct me. I had to learn things on my own. Unfortunately, I did, but many others that I know did not, and it did not result very well for them. Okay. So 23%. Second to us is going to be over in United Kingdom. Then we could go over to Russia. I missed one down there. Sao Tome and Principe. I don't know if I said that right. I mean, my Spanish kicking in. But now the question becomes, well, what are the problems that come with this, right? I mean, do you really think it's a big problem? Yes, because this feeds into the crime. This feeds into addictions. This feeds into so many problems. This feeds into women with daddy issues, guys with daddy issues, guys who don't know how to express themselves, who don't know how to lead because they never had that, or they have the wrong ideology. Not too long ago, there was a post that came up and it said, how long should you wait till you ask somebody for sex, right? And I went up and said, till marriage. Man, I'll tell you, there was good feedback. There was a lot of bad feedback. I got heckled a lot, right? And, I had to put up the disclaimer there. It's like, hey, listen, before being married, I wasn't perfect. But when me and my wife met through the church, we held off till marriage. We got married pretty quick because of it. But there's a lot of benefits that came from it, and I want to take that back. And I will encourage others to do the same, right? So that's not the issue, though. There's a mentality out there where I remember I was told by somebody who I respect very. I used to know. I respect very much. They were like, something just like this, Ron. Women are like cars. You got to just test drive. It's absurd. That's crazy. That's why we have issues. We do not want to do that. And in this post that I'm talking about, there were many people who were saying the same thing. They're like, yeah, you got to test drive. You just got to feel it out. You got to do this, and a whole variety of stuff, like shying away from marriage, shying away from responsibilities, and all this other stuff. And I personally think that's wrong, right? I spiraled into that, but I always had the ambitions to be a married man, even though I told myself many times I wouldn't. Safety for a dad. And the reason why is because I know that it's important, right? It's very, very important. And I genuinely wish that many men did not have that mentality of having to test drive. Okay. Now, I'm not going to sit here and advocate for everyone needing to wait till marriage. I think it's the best route to go. I know of other people that's worked out that haven't gone that route. For us personally, I think it's best. And I would encourage many, if things are not working out for you guys, with different partners, give that a try. It might change things for you. Okay. And I know there's another conversation that can happen here, but we're not going in the arena. We're going to talk about this, right? So, when I mean change that mentality, I mean change the mentality where us as men, we start realizing that we need to take ownership of our actions. We need to take ownership of the power that we have. We need to be empowered, right? You know, when it comes to a household where there's no father involved, like I mentioned earlier, there's issues that come on there. So I'm gonna share some stuff there. Okay. Now this is from fathers.com. All right, on here, number one, poverty. Children in father-absent homes are almost 4 times more likely to be poor. In 2011, 12% of children in married couples' families were living in poverty. Okay, compared to 44% of children in mothers-only families. That's crazy. That's a huge number, right? Now, children living in female-headed families with no spouse present had a poverty rate of 47.6%, over 4 times the rate in married couple families. Crazy. Let's go to the next one. Drug and alcohol abuse. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services states fatherless children are at a dramatically greater risk of drug and alcohol abuse. There's significantly more drug use among children who do not live with their mother and father. Now, I'm going to put this in the source. I'm going to put this in the description so you guys can click this and read it for yourselves, okay? The third one, physical and emotional health. A study of 1,977 children aged 3 and older living with a residential father or father figure found that children living with married biological parents had significantly fewer externalizing and internalizing behavioral problems than children living with at least one non-biological parent. Children of single-parent homes are more than twice as likely to commit suicide. Data from 3 ways of the Fragile Family Study, N equals 2001 to 21111. Okay, I don't know if I'm reading that correctly, but if you guys check out the article, you can read it yourselves. Was used to examine the prevalence and effects of mothers' relationships changes between birth and age 3 on the children's well-being. Children born to single mothers show higher levels of aggressive behavior than children born to married mothers. Living in a single mother household is equivalent to experiencing 5.25 partnership transitions. It just keeps going on. Okay, there's a few more here that I want to go over before I keep on talking about this. Educational achievements. Children in grades 7 to 12 who have lived with at least one biological parent, youth that experience divorce, separation, or non-union birth reported lower grade point average than those who have always lived with both biological parents. Children living with a married biological father tested at a significantly higher level than those living with a non-biological father. You guys are seeing the trend here, right? Crime. Adolescents living in intact families are less likely to engage delinquency than their peers living in non-intact families. Compared to peers in intact families, adolescents in single-parent families and step-families were more likely to engage in delinquency. This relationship appeared to be operating through differences in family processes for parental involvement, supervision, monitoring, and parent-child closeness between intact and non-intact families. I'm sorry, guys, for my reading. Sometimes I feel like my Spanish gets involved, or I'm just not the brightest man in the world, right? Now, 6, sexual activity and teen pregnancy. A study using a sample of 1,409 rural southern adolescents, 851 female and 558 males, aged 11 to 18 year old, investigated the correlation between father absence and self-reported sexual activity. The results revealed that adolescents in father-absent homes were more likely to report being sexually active compared to adolescents living with their fathers. Being raised by a single mother raises the risk of teen pregnancy, marrying with less than a higher school degree, and forming a marriage where both partners have less than a high school degree. Okay, here's the thing. I don't want to sound like I'm talking down on mothers here, and I don't want this article to sound like that now. Now I'm just going based on these facts here, and obviously this is from years ago. The data must be completely different now, and I'm still doing my research to see what the current thing is. But I just found it interesting that between these two things, this is what's being shared. So for the U.S. to be at 23%, all these to be attributions that happen in, let's say, fatherless homes. It would make sense to me that we're seeing this spike in crime. We're seeing all these other things going on. That's just whoa, right? We need to slow it down. We need to grab this country by the horns right now. They just put it back down and just like, hey, we need to collect this. And one of the important things to get this country back on track, all right, is by us nurturing our children, okay, raising our children by example. I know many mothers. My mother was a single mother, and she worked hard. Man, she worked very hard to make sure we were taken care of. We had food on the table, to make sure we had a roof over our head. I mean, I admire my mom because it's saying the amounts of things that she did, right? Especially when, me and my father weren't having a relationship at that point. We're cool now, but then we weren't, right? So what happens is this. Well, she's working, doing everything else. I see her trying her best. She's trying to give me, teach me as much as she can, but the male figure wasn't there for me, right? Or it wasn't even there for my sister. So it creates many doors for other things to come in and cause chaos, right? So I was finding myself getting in trouble. I didn't do good in school at all. I dropped out of school, okay? I had many dreams, but instead I started smoking pot and just hanging out, playing video games all the time. I really didn't have that disciplinary action, right? My mom tried her best, but I drove her up the wall, man. I feel terrible for some of the things I did, right? And I genuinely believe that if I had a role model in the household who was better able to guide me and discipline me, there will be a whole nother Ronnie that would have came out. Not to say I regret anything, because I'm thankful where I'm at now and what I've had, and I've learned, and I've learned to come out of the mess I was in and get to where I'm at now and progress. But I didn't have those things to help me back then. I taught myself this. I taught myself to shave. I taught myself how to, dress. I taught myself all these things, right? Because I just didn't have those examples. I got my first tattoo, I think at 17. Now, my kids. That's another example I would like to use here. Okay, I got twins. I got a boy and a girl. Now, what happens? Well, this is what happens. My son and my daughter here, right? And I've realized that, like, for example, if I'm not home, my son is particular, likes to raise hell in the household. He just goes crazy. I don't know what it is. And my wife, she cooks, she cleans, she works hard, she busts her ass, she makes sure everything is in order. Like, she really is like just rocking and crushing it. But our kids, for some reason, they have a different response to her what they have with me. Okay, and what do I mean by that? Well, as much as she tries to put the disciplinary actions there, there's still that sense of rebellious, characteristics that are there. But when I'm home, those things change for the most part, right? Like, for example, if my son starts throwing a tantrum, throwing havoc everywhere, just throwing toys, wrecking everything, pushing everything to the side, my wife was like, stop, and he would just start screaming and throwing tantrums and just all this. I step in, I give him the Latino look. He sees me, he goes, oh, Sam, gets up and problem solves. Right. Same thing when it goes to bed. Put some potassium, make sure they're comfortable, the bed smells good, they're well warm, washed. I mean, all that good stuff that mother does, right? Good mother does. They just want to get up and play. They want to scream. It's like they know that she wants to give them that comfort and that love, right? And they just want to exploit that. So what happens? Dad comes in the room, says, go to sleep. And they're like, okay, Dad. And not to say I don't have a soft side, because I definitely do. I play with my kids. There are things that I let them slide with, because there's that love. You got to give that love. You can't just be all serious all the time. You got to love your children. You got to lead by example, right? And it's huge. We recently did a podcast where we need to post up at some point, hopefully soon, where another father he was sharing examples actually in the firearm world, right? He has kids very young, and if you guys, if that episode does go up, you guys check it out. You could hear more of the story from him himself. But the example he set to let his children know that if there's a firearm there unattended, it's not a toy for you to grab. You go to mommy and daddy and let them know. Okay, you let them know that there's something dangerous there that you should not be touching, and that's huge because those are again that's another example that I'm saying we need to pour into our children. And when I heard that, I'm like, man, that's how I want to raise my kids because I want my kids to grow up and I have firearms, right? I want them to grow up and when they see a firearm, I don't want them to be scared, but I want them to respect it. Okay, I don't want them to think it's a toy or know that it's not a toy. God forbid an emergency happens. I keep them locked away, keep them, out of their reach, right? But let's say for whatever reason it's in their reach. I don't even want them to touch it. I just want them to look at it, walk away. And when they become of age, they'll be able to touch it under supervision in a controlled environment where they can fire and learn that's a serious thing to use, right? That's only for self-defense. Okay. Now, so here's the thing. Now I'm talking about how we're pouring these things into our children. We're teaching our children. We're putting that foot down, letting them know, hey, this is not okay. Okay. We're loving them. Our daughters, that's a huge one. Marriage, I never really had the greatest example of marriage. Fortunately, I've met other people who has had strong marriages when I moved to New York, and I've learned a lot, and it's been an inspiring thing for somebody like myself, right? But here's the thing. I still didn't know much because I didn't see it in my household. There was just a lot of negative things that I've seen growing up. So as a husband myself, I have many, many challenges. And the reason why I have many challenges is because I have to learn on my own. Fortunately, there's people that's poured into me, but most of it is just learning on my own. Like there's a podcast called Man of Order. I love that podcast. I mean, the examples, the teacher is incredible. Value Entertainment is another one that I listen to. Ed Milet is a really good guy too. And there are other ones out there that are great, but these in particular, when it comes to relationship, I feel like they're helping me cultivate to become a better person. Because we're talking about like aggressive behavior here when it comes for single parenting. I was one of those aggressive behavior. So there's things where I want to just lash out and blow up, but I'm learning to tame down because it's just not right, and I don't want my kids to duplicate that. Okay, another things that for example, my sister, she never saw what love was like towards a woman because my mom, unfortunately, things didn't work out. Right, mom had some major challenges. So what happened? Well, now I'm married. Actually, out of all my siblings right now, I'm the only one who's married. Right, so I have to learn to become a better man. There's things that I'm having a very, very hard time doing, but I need to learn to do it, okay, in order to become a better leader in my household, a better example, the man that my wife doesn't want, but that my wife needs. Okay, I need to become more tolerant because there's things that sometimes things happen. I'm just like, oh my God, what the hell's going on? But it's really me who needs to become more patient, who needs to become more loving, who needs to become more caring, because my daughter is going to see that, and my son is going to see that too. And when their time comes, when they meet somebody, they're going to have something. They're going to have an example that they're going to be able to live by. Okay, they don't have to go figure it out themselves. They could see it from here. But it all starts with me, right? It all starts with the man. I know some people are probably going to be mad. There's a lot of pressure on the man, or you know what, it's not cool. It should be 50-50. No, listen, man. I thought the same thing, but in all honesty, yes, there's things where the partner needs to step up, of course, obviously, right? But majority is going to fall on us. We got to lead our homes. Okay, and again, I am not the best, and I keep saying that, and I probably should stop saying that. I just don't want to sound like I have myself. This is where I'm at. I do hold myself to a higher standard. That's what I'm doing. Okay, holding myself to a higher standard. I want to live up to, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so if you're a new dad, or you want to be a dad, or you're just listening to this just to listen, just to hear another perspective. Look, man, we're men. We need to step up our game. Okay, we have to step up our game. We have to learn to lead. We have to learn how to love. We have to learn how to protect. We have to learn how to stand up for ourselves. Okay, not just in our household or in our neighborhood. When I say stand up to ourselves, for ourselves, I'm talking about what's going on in the world right now. We need to be in a place where we're able to say, no, that's wrong, and I'm not going to allow that because I'm here to protect my children's home, which is this country, this household, and my wife. You understand? And even with that, some people might be like, I'm not into politics or all this stuff. Look, you don't have to be. But are you into your life? Do you care about your life? Do you care about your children's life? Do you care about the what goes on in your pockets, what goes on with your health, and a whole variety of other stuff? If you answered yes to any of those, well, then you should care and you should be involved because your children are going to see that. And I know for one, I don't want my children to be no punks. I don't want them to stand by and just take crap and, get pointed fingers and just do what they're told to do. We live in a free country. Okay? So we have rights. I want my kids to grow up and learn that we have rights to stand up lovingly but vicious against anything that comes our way that's trying to infringe on that. And we do that, and that's how us men can step up and help change this country. That's how we can lower numbers like I just showed you right now, 23%. I don't know if that's higher. I'm pretty sure it is higher, and it's insane. And that's not considering all the children that are currently dying to abortion. And again, that could be another topic. But we need to step up. It's a serious matter, and unless we make that decision to get right and exercise our rights and become better men. I mean, there's so many podcasts, incredible amount of podcasts out there to talk about this, that talk about, becoming a man who has integrity, who loves their children, who loves the spouse, or who's dealing with stuff and how to overcome those things. So again, there's a lot of things I dealt with and still dealing with now that I'm breaking out of or have broken out of to become who I'm becoming, who I've to become. So pretty much simple. And I just wanted to share this with all of you because I genuinely believe in this. I genuinely believe this is an important thing to talk about. It needs to be talked about a lot more. I feel like there's not very much of a focus there. And the way to fix this is by encouraging each other and holding each other accountable. So if you're a dad, know other dads who are, either all over the place, facing challenges or whatever it is. Let's become support systems to each other. Okay, let's become warriors in this war, right? Let's support each other. Let's kick some butt. Let's step up our game. Let's not let this country be destroyed, but by letting them destroy our homes. They need to stay away from our homes. All right, we need to be the ones in charge of our homes. So that's about it. If you guys want to learn more, if you guys have any questions, whatever it is, just leave a comment, send me a message, whatever it is. But we'll have more podcasts coming up like this. This is important. Take care.